Please be seated. So here we are on a hot day in June with the Gospel of Luke, where Jesus is always on the move. It's been a little uncomfortable, I'm not going to lie. But today, Jesus paused on a dusty road and fixed his gaze toward Jerusalem. This wasn't a casual decision. It was a full-body somatic declaration. Jaw set, eyes locked, and chin squared. He moved forward deliberately towards what he knew lay ahead: suffering, rejection, and even death. Yet his steps never faltered. He walked on, resolute, unwavering, and propelled by a love so deep that nothing would deter him. And this moment marks a turning point in his ministry. Up until now, he had been preaching, teaching, and healing across Galilee and beyond. But now, it wasn't just about location. It was about destiny. By setting his face towards Jerusalem, Jesus entered the final chapter of his mission, one that would redefine what it means to love boldly, radically, and sacrificially. Jesus lived in the spirit of radical hospitality. He welcomed weary travelers, healed the suffering, and turned ordinary encounters into sacred exchanges. Yet in Samaria, he was met with rejection. And in a twist laden with irony, he would soon tell the parable of the Good Samaritan. But here he found no welcome in their village. Instead, he found closed doors. Foxes have dens, he says, but the Son of Humanity has nowhere to lay his head. This rejection is not a surprise to Jesus. Offering grace can sometimes invite resistance. Acts of compassion can draw judgment. And yet Jesus remained steadfast. Watching this, James and John, nicknamed the Sons of Thunder, they felt indignation. They whispered, "Should we call down fire?" And their instinct was to retaliate, to strike back at those who rejected their teacher. And in their eyes, rejection warranted punishment. And in their hearts, faith was about righteous power. Well, we've seen that a few times. But Jesus rebuked them gently and yet firmly. I have come to save, not destroy. He offered them and us a new path. Not just the way of violence, but the way of steadfast presence. Because love does not retaliate. Love remains. And even when it hurts, and even when it is unwelcome, it is immovable. When Jesus spoke words to cut to the heart of the disciples, "Let the dead bury their own dead. No one who puts a hand to the plow and looks back is fit for the kingdom," these are not condemnations. They are clarion calls. The time is now. The path is singular. We cannot wander, hesitate, or demand comfort and safety as prerequisites for love. So what does this look like for us today? I have been a little busy lately. And last week, I led a session for our diocesan leadership, the board of directors, doing an intercultural development inventory. So what does this mean? It means that we talked about what it means to build relationships across divides, especially across cultural divides, across backgrounds, and across perspectives. Not just knowledge, but transformation. So I took this meeting on Zoom at camp. There was a lot going on at camp while this meeting was happening. Okay? So on that same day, I witnessed the gospel come alive in the simplest way. I watched children cluster with those who looked like them, a pattern we adults often fail to address. But then one child, noticing another who had never been swimming before, invited her to jump in. She held her hand, she pointed out reeds and little fish, and cheered as the newcomer bravely leapt from the dock. No big sermon, no grand gestures, just children saying, "Welcome, come with me. Let's play." That is discipleship. It was hospitality in flesh and blood, and it was God's kingdom unfolding in the lake. So here we are living in ordinary time, but in a year when pride is being celebrated in cities across the world, including here today in West Des Moines. Our queer siblings, women, and the earth pour itself out with lives of care, with lives of justice and mercy, yet to endure rejections of their response to God's love. Jesus set his face towards rejection, suffering, and death, not as defeat, but as declaration, a stand for love's power to heal and to redeem. And so during Pride, but really, let's be honest, every other day here, we don't just wave flags. We stand in radical welcome. We say God's love is real, God's kingdom is wide, and God's arms are open to everyone, just as they are opened for the outsider, the stranger, and the forgotten. The world loves to test us with power and exclusion and violence. We've seen this on the news with hunger and bombing. The gospel offers a different path, unwavering, sacrificial, and persistent love. No matter how many times the door closes, no matter how many times we are hurt, we choose presence. Because, beloved, today is the day that we set our faces towards unwavering justice, towards hospitality in this church, and towards unity. When others draw lines, we'll open our arms. When anger tempts us, we'll choose compassion. And when the world closes its doors, we'll build more tables. Because Jesus walked to Jerusalem not to destroy, but to save, not to burn, but to heal, not to abandon, but to bind up the broken. So we will follow him, jaw set, eyes forward, hands open, and hearts ready, because love always wins. Amen.